Today on The Occult Detective, I'm going to show off a few books and discuss what may be coming ahead for Horror Mayhem. I hope you're all having a wonderful start to your work week. Had a couple of things I wanted to show you before I got to talking about what's coming next month. First, a quick little update on my read-through of Planet of the Apes, the fantastic magazines that Marvel published starting in 1974. I've been reading them out of order somewhat. I decided to read through the movie adaptations first before tackling Doug Minch's and Mike Ploog's wonderful Terror on the Planet of the Apes. I finally did finish the adaptations. They were fantastic. There were a lot of similarities in what we found in like Savage Sword of Conan, in that just the wonderful ink work that Alfredo Alcala produced, and whenever he touched this Planet of the Apes book, it was just, spectacular, and really made those pages pop. And if you get a chance to get your hands on any of these, I can't recommend them highly enough. And I'm really looking forward to diving into Terror on the Planet of the Apes this last half of April. I did pick up a few books recently that I thought I'd show off now. A first edition Borrow of the Night by Elizabeth Peters. Don't know if you're familiar with Elizabeth Peters' work. She wrote really great mystery tales under different names. Barbara Mertz was her real name. She wrote as Elizabeth Peters. She wrote as Barbara Michaels. This is the first book in the Vicky Bliss series. And so a real find. It's great shape for a book that came out, and I think this was 1973, so just thrilled to have this in the collection. I also picked up an ex-library book, Stories from Mythology, North American by Cora Morris. Great artwork there. This is Native American lore that kind of starts out talking about the coming of the Northmen. And then there's some really interesting things on the forest tribes, which would be a large part of the area that I'm from. But the illustration of the natives being pursued by stone giants, as they're called. I was thrilled when I picked this up and saw this. They were powerful magicians, huge in stature, and used stones for weapons. Also trees, which they uprooted. How am I not going to want to read that? But I love Native American lore, principally because the majority of the paranormal investigations I go out on are in, former reservation lands, and you run into a lot of native spirits, and I like to stay on top of whatever folklore and legends that come from the indigenous peoples of the area. Good stuff. I've also started reading Oscar de Muriel's Lock of the Dead. This is book 4 in a series, but I ran across this at a library sale. Couldn't pass it up. It definitely, reading the description, it read like a great occult detective yarn, and so far it is not letting me down. To the point where now I'm thinking I have to track down the other books in the series. I think there's 7 in all. But I really like his writing style. It's set in the Victorian era. Deals with Ian Frey and what's the guy? Nine Nails McGray. But yeah, good stuff. Very, very intriguing, very immersive right from the gate. So hopefully it holds up, and if it does, I'll be reading more of this. Also, at the same library sale, I picked up some things that you may be interested in. We have a couple issues of Grimm's Ghost Stories. Now, as a kid, I loved these. Had great artwork. Very simple, very newspaper strip-like. But fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, really fun stuff. And yeah, I was thrilled to run into these. Definitely took me back to my childhood having these. Even more so was a copy of the Fantastic Four, number 143. Look at that. Now, this is in very bad shape, but it's a great reader's copy. And this was my era of Fantastic Four. This was Rich Buckler on art, Jerry Conway writing, and that's when I first started reading the FF. This is where they were at. So this was early 70s. This was 1973, so that's like 7 years old when this came out. So yeah, this whole era was great, and it was nice because Marvel's Greatest Comics was coming out at the same time, which was reprinting the Jack Kirby, Stan Lee era of FF. So, you know, it was just a great time to be a kid and reading Marvel Comics. Speaking of which, the real, you know, find of the day was number 6 of The Son of Satan. Now, this was another one of those comics that I just loved as a kid. And boy, does it hold up. This came out in 76. 10-year-old Bob was all over this. And just this Ed Hannigan and Sonny Trinidad art is just spectacular. Look at that. When I first got this and I kind of showed it off online, you know, I was just commenting on just how brilliant this book was. I think I showcased this double page spread here, and just look at that. That's fantastic. Those guys were really on fire. Son of Satan was a lot of fun, and I wish it would have lasted a lot longer than it did. But alas, the horror boom was on its way out. So what else do I have? Well, I suppose I should talk a little bit about my plans for Horror Mayhem. You may have seen my video drop yesterday where I showed the prompts and the bingo card for this year's event. I think I'm going to do something different, and I'm not going to reveal all of it right now, but I will say it has a lot to do with what I believe many of you would refer to as paperbacks from hell. And speaking of hell, we have Hellstorm by J.N. Williamson. And we have The Black School by J.N. Williamson. The Black School, the ultimate satanic cult. I mean, yeah, that's going to be great, right? But this is kind of a tease of what I'll be tackling for Horror Mayhem. And tomorrow will be the big reveal. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by what I have to show off as an even further tease for the month of May. So I guess you'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll talk again real soon.